Welcome to the Akashic Library.
All right, let's dive in. Today, we're talking about something called anxious attachment. And it's this really tricky thing where the one thing we all want, love, can actually feel like the most terrifying thing in the world. So let's get into it.
So, let's start with a question that really gets to the core of this. You know how we're all taught that hearing I love you is supposed to be this amazing, wonderful moment? Well, what if it's not? What if those words just don't land? What if they actually make you feel suspicious or even scared? That's the messy, confusing feeling we're going to unpack today.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about this really strange gap. The one between what we think love is supposed to feel like and what it actually feels like for someone with anxious attachment. So on one hand, you've got the storybook version, right? Hearing I love you brings warmth, relief, a sense of safety. But for someone with an anxious attachment style, oh man, it can feel like a trap. The brain just goes into overdrive. Wait, are they kidding? Are they just saying that? Are they going to take it back tomorrow? Who else are they saying this to? It's like the words themselves are just unbelievable.
And yeah, this really captures the chaos inside. We're not talking about a little bit of doubt here. It is a violent swing back and forth between this incredible hope, like, oh my God, maybe this time it's for real, and then this crushing, soul-deep despair. I just know I'm about to get hurt. That constant whiplash, it is just so exhausting.
So, if that's what's happening on the inside, how does it all, show up on the outside? That's what we're getting into next. The drama. Because the behaviors that come from this deep-seated anxiety, they're usually not quiet. They are very dramatic. The official clinical term is anxious attachment. But honestly, it's a little too polite, isn't it? If you're looking at how it actually plays out, a much better name might be angry attachment. Because the anxiety doesn't come out as quiet little worries. Nope. It comes out as this explosive, almost aggressive need to test things. So what does this angry attachment actually look like? Well, it can be things like breaking up with your partner over and over again. Not because you actually want to end it, but because you need to see if they'll fight for you. Or maybe you engineer a huge crisis right after you've had a really beautiful, calm evening together, just to kind of pop the balloon of happiness and prove you can't be fooled. Or it could be hours and hours of grilling them over a simple like on social media, looking for a confession to a crime that was never committed. And that leads us to this massive paradox, right? Why on earth would anyone choose drama? Well, here's the thing. When your emotional baseline is just this constant, high-level anxiety, the quiet and calm of a healthy relationship can feel completely foreign. It can feel scary. A big drama, a fight, you know how to handle that. You've been there before. In a weird way, it can actually feel safer than the vulnerability of just being at peace. Okay, this is so important. These behaviors, they don't just appear out of thin air. To really get it, we have to stop looking at the what and start asking about the why. And the answer, almost every single time, is hiding in the past. And please, hear this. These actions are not character flaws. They're not signs that someone is broken. They are old, outdated survival strategies. They were developed for a very good reason in a world that felt unstable. They worked once, even if they're causing all sorts of problems now. So what was that core lesson learned way back in childhood? It's basically this. Love is a real thing. You've seen it, you've even felt it, but it can vanish at any moment, without any warning. Maybe a parent was warm and loving one minute and then cold and distant the next, or maybe they just left. The one thing you learned for sure was that love was never, ever reliable. And because of that, love wasn't something you could just relax into and enjoy. No way. It had to be guarded. It had to be watched over constantly, with the ferocity of a guard dog, an Alsatian, just scanning the perimeter for any threat. That intense hypervigilance felt like the only thing keeping love from disappearing again. And here is where it all gets so tragic. We get to the heart of the anxious attachment cycle. The very strategies that were designed to stop you from being abandoned are often the exact things that cause it to happen. It is a devastating, self-fulfilling prophecy. And you can see how this cycle plays out step by step. First, that deep, intense fear of being left alone just takes over. Then, second, as a reaction, the partner gets put through these endless tests and accusations. Third, that partner, who might have been totally committed, just gets worn down. They get exhausted by constantly having to prove their love. And so finally, what do? They leave. Which, of course, just confirms the original fear. The cycle is complete. This is just the perfect way to put it. It's like you're holding something really precious, and you're so desperate to know if it's solid, if it's real, that you shake it, and you shake it, and you keep shaking it until it just shatters in your hands. The very act of testing its strength is what ends up destroying it. But it does not have to end there, and this is the good news. Just understanding these patterns is the huge first step to changing them. So let's talk about the path forward, the path to feeling secure. So what does this path actually look like? Well, it really comes down to 3 key things. First, you have to truly understand where these fears came from in your past. Second, you've got to find the courage to talk about them, to explain them to your partner, but just as importantly, to yourself. And third, and this is probably the hardest part, you have to learn how to actually let in reassurance when someone offers it to you, to actually receive it. And this right here, this is a total game changer for communication. If you can explain the why behind your reactions without shame, you can basically teach your partner a whole new language. You can help them see that when you seem angry or when you're picking a fight, what's really going on underneath all of that is that you're just terrified. It's not that you want to doubt them, it's that you literally don't know how not to. And really, this all comes back to having some compassion for yourself. That strategy of clinging and testing and demanding proof, it made perfect sense for a 5-year-old kid living in an unpredictable world. You can actually be proud of that younger version of you for being so smart, for figuring out a way to survive. But you can also gently thank that part of you and let it know that the adult you is here now, and you've got this. So let's leave you with this really powerful reframing idea. The absolute catastrophe you're so scared of, the abandonment, the unreliable love. Guess what? It already happened. It happened back when you were a kid. That was the disaster. So if the worst is already behind you, what does that make possible for you now?
Anxious attachment isn't about being needy. It's about fearing loss. In the next video, we'll look at the one relationship rule that changes everything.